welcome up Mr. Let's Make It a Bestseller, Michael R. Drew.
Thank you, Mark. What?
Knock 'em live.
I will. Thank you. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate the introduction. Mark brought me in today to give you guys some realities about the industry. If I'm not alienating at least 70% of you, I'm not doing my job. My presentation is debunking the 7 myths of the book industry. Most of you think you know how the book industry works. An author writes the book, the publisher publishes and markets the book, and the retailers sell the book. You know, it used to be that simple, but in today's marketplace, that's no longer the case. You see, 28 years ago, a phenomenon occurred that changed the book industry forever. By a show of hands, or let me get some ideas from you guys. What do you think changed the book industry in 1980, 28 years ago? Not the internet. The internet wasn't released until a few years later, but yes, someone said the personal computer. The personal computer changed, you know, I don't know if change is the right word. I think it more revolutionized the book industry. How do you think the personal computer revolutionized the industry? Desktop publishing, right. The 100-year average between 1880 and 1980 for the number of books published was 40,000. In 2006, according to Bowker, the company that issues ISBN numbers, the number of books published was 292,000 books. So, let's look at some book industry trends for the last 5 years and see. I'm going to have to pick one of the screens here, but let's look at some sales data for the last 5 years. In 2002, there were nearly 248,000 books published. In 2003, we published nearly 266,000 books. In 2004, we had such a big jump to 295,000 of 30,000 new books. That's almost the 100-year average from 1880 to 1980 in the number of new books published in 2004. Now, we probably published too many books in the industry as we saw a correction in 2005 to 282,000 books. But again, back in 2006, we see that the number of books published each year jumped back up to 292,000 books published. The personal computer revolutionized the time it takes an author to write a book. It revolutionized the amount of effort it takes an author to write a book. In my professional opinion, it now takes an author 1/10 of the amount of time today to write a book than it did before the 1980 advent of the personal computer. But what's really interesting to point out is that while we've seen a huge increase in the number of books published each year, we have not seen a corresponding increase for the demand of those titles. Why do you suppose that is? All sorts of ideas, all sorts of reasons. Instead of going to the library to do research, people now go online. Instead of curling up by the fire today, most people curl up and watch a DVD movie. Instead of reading a fantasy novel, people go online and play fantasy games like World of Warcraft. So here's the deal. You could write the most entertaining, the most vital book of this year, and you'd still have to compete with the internet, with DVD movies, and with online games like World of Warcraft. Not to mention celebrity authors. And the 300,000 books published this year, and the year before, and the year before, and the year before. But you also have to compete with, for attention against celebrities who come out with their own books. So, now that we know how we got to the point where we're now publishing 300,000 books a year, you'd think that publishers would be more willing to spend time marketing and advertising your book, right? That brings us to myth number 1. your publisher will help you market and advertise your book. Here's the deal. In today's marketplace, publishers have a difficult enough time doing what they do best: editing, designing, printing, and publishing nearly 300,000 books a year. And unless your name is Bill Clinton, J.K. Rowling, or John Grisham, you're not going to get any marketing support from your publisher. When I tell authors this, many of them get frustrated and upset. They believe that their publisher is shirking their responsibilities. But guess what? I agree with the publishers. You see, you benefit more from the promotion of your book. In my experience, pushing more than 43 books to the New York Times bestsellers list, I've seen my authors more than double their business, quadruple their speaking fees, and for even those clients that had smaller marketing platforms, I've seen them expand their existing markets and develop additional name recognition and increase their fees. You know, the publishers, they don't get those benefits. A publisher makes money when? When your book sells. Let me share a specific example with you of an author of mine who benefited more from the promotion of his book than his publisher. Pretend that you're sitting in your dentist's office and you're trying to ignore the screams from the other room and that sound, sound of teeth being ground by a drill. So you pick up the magazine on the table, you start flipping through it, and you come across a review about a book titled Secret Formulas of the Wizard of Ads. Now, in this scenario, your company is looking at starting a new advertising campaign, so this review has some interest to you. You start reviewing the review, and you find it interesting. Now, you're not going to allow a business book to replace your novel in the evening. So, it's interesting, but the next day, when your advertising director comes in your office and you start discussing the new advertising campaigns, you remember, or you may or may not remember Roy's name, but you do remember the title, The Wizard of Ads. You do a quick search on the internet, you easily find a site. You find it to be very both entertaining and enlightening. And you notice that on his site, he sells an audiobook. Now again, you're not going to replace your novel in the evening reading Roy's book, but because what he has to say is of interest to you, you decide to buy his audio program so that you can listen to it on your way to and from work each day. At the same time, you let your advertising director know about Roy and what he stands for. She's intrigued. She calls him on the phone and decides to hire him as a consultant for your new advertising campaign. Not only that, she decides to bring him in to get every one of your employees trained at an on-site seminar. Now, which one of these benefited the publisher? You read a review about his book, you went to his website, you liked it, you bought an audio program, you referred him to the advertising director of your company, who hired him, and your publisher got nothing. They may have sold a book. That's it. The truth is, you benefit more from your book than your publisher. If you don't take responsibility for your book and rely on the publisher to promote and market the book for their benefit, your book will never succeed. You need to take control of your own promotion